Hello and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be trying to demonstrate some, let's say, tools you can use and examples of how you can use them and what might be the benefit of them. Holy fuck, I can speak. So the first thing that I actually like is Aim Booster, and this is actually my favorite tool in general. I think I've mentioned this before sometime in a video, but I wanted to make a separate video for this. So when you're not feeling up to par mechanically, or when you want to get into laning or whatever else, this can actually help you a lot. But this one, for example, is just horrible, right? So this mode on Aim Booster is like the speed goes up and the target size is like this, and I think it's horrible. Then this mode is better, but when you start it up, then the targets per second are pretty fast and the target size is pretty big. But what I like is to keep the grid pretty small like this, and then you have a pretty low speed. Like, it's not like these things are coming fast, right? But you have a low size as well, which will help you practice accuracy a lot. So then what you should notice is that as you keep doing this, your mouse gets less and less shaky. And also you start taking a more straight path between the circles, right? Because like right now I haven't done this in like months probably. So sometimes I'll overshoot, sometimes I'll stray off the path and so on, right? And your goal should kind of be to make it to a minute pretty consistently. And to have the speed, you can start with something like this, and then you just increase this by 0.2 every time. And you want to reach something like maybe 30 pixel size this thing, and like a 2 target per second speed or something. And that could be pretty good because this is already decently fast, and yet it's giving you giving pretty small targets as well. They're not like the biggest, so you can kind of work on your accuracy for this, right? So this can be pretty useful, I think. And obviously you can also play around with these settings and make them higher in speed, or make them lower in target size or bigger in target size or whatever else that might fit you. But this is the only thing I really like on here. But I think it's pretty good practice, and whenever I want to actually do well on lane, then I tend to spend like, let's say, an hour, sometimes up to 2, before that session when I'm starting to play lane again. So for example, if I played jungle for like 2 months or something and now I actually want to play lane, then I would do this. But if I just randomly pick lane for fun, then I wouldn't do this, right? And then also, I think that these human benchmark tests can give you some pretty interesting ideas about how you're gonna end up performing on stuff, right? So for example, you can do the memory test, you can do the reaction time test, and you can do the visual memory test, right? So this can be pretty interesting because it gives you like a pattern, right? And these patterns are kind of relating to League patterns, where you're gonna do stuff in League in a pattern, both in terms of macro and micro, right? So how you play fights, and also how you decide what you're gonna do next, right? So if this happens, then I'm gonna do that, right? And if you get like pretty decent scores on this, it could be like pretty good indicator that you should be like okay on this, right? So you can just do this like every now and then, right? And it'll give you some general idea of how you're doing, but this is more of an informative thing, and it's not really something to practice, but it's kind of interesting, right? I'm kind of not really paying attention, so I'll probably fail this like really soon anyway. What was it then? It wasn't that. I think it was like the middle one or something like that. I don't really pay attention, so whatever. We got like some score, it doesn't really matter, right? And the reaction times can tell you quite a bit. The really good thing about reaction times is that First of all, they tell you how you're likely to perform that day, and second of all, they can tell you how it's good for you to play, right? So in some scenarios, you actually do have a choice in League between reacting to stuff and actually well, between reacting and actually predicting, right? So I'm obviously gonna do pretty bad here because I'm talking while I do it and not really focused, but it gives you some general idea, right? And so you get some kind of a score, right? So yeah, some random stuff. Okay, cool. And you also have like some of these things which can help you remember patterns, but these things are more informative again, and it doesn't really matter too much. But this thing is quite useful, as with this you can train both your accuracy and your speed. And in League, you don't really want the grid size to be too big, because in League you're gonna be playing in this area anyway. Like if I full screen it, then it's this area, and if not, then it's this area. And this is pretty much where you play most of the game anyway. It's not like you need to move your camera too much outside of it. And the thing to note is that you want to keep your accuracy in general in League like above like 95% or something, because speed doesn't actually matter as much as people think in this game. Like, my APM, my speed, my stuff like that, like it doesn't really matter that much. And rather than that, it's more important for you to have a good performance in your consistency, right? So yeah, I just wanted to really make a video on that, and it can give you an idea of what you can practice, and also some interesting stuff that might give you some interesting data. And maybe I'll also attach some of my actual attempts on this stuff. I don't know. So yeah, with reaction times and stuff, I mean, it can vary quite a bit. So if you don't focus for a bit, it'll be quite a bit higher. If you aren't actually ready to click, it's going to be higher. If you don't react properly, it's going to be higher. Then sometimes you're going to get better or worse times by some amount. Like for example, for me, the average time is somewhere between 150 and 165 or something like that, right? But then if I drop my focus, then I'm gonna get like 170, 180, maybe up to 200 ms, right? Like if I completely zone out, I'm gonna get like 220 or something. While if I'm completely in the zone, then I'll probably get like 140 to 150. But that's pretty inconsistent, and usually a reaction time is going to end up being something really average for you. So for example, for me, something average would probably be like 160 or something, and that would end up being what I will end up getting most of the time. And I'll say that in League, it doesn't matter too much for me, because like there is not much stuff that I can completely react to in League, and usually I find that playing off prediction tends to be better for me. So yeah, there are a few things though. So if your reaction time is around the middle of 100, so 150, 160, whatever, then you should be able to dodge some things on reactions, but not too many. For example, Casio ult or something should be pretty consistent though.